Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. If you are new here, what up? Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Sekhet, which is the legendary dark discounted warrior of the season. And what this means is if you get it within the first 2-week discount period, you're only paying about 18k sigils. Whereas if you get it later in the season, you're going to pay the full 37k sigils for the dragon. Now, the spell kit, let's go into that. We have Claw of Carnix. It is a white 1 rage spell. It's basically a death gaze. You do 100 times attack as damage to a target area. It does have a 5-second cooldown, which isn't too bad, but it is also significant. The next spell that we have is Seething Chains. It is a white 2 rage spell. You deal 8% HP as damage and you freeze the towers for 3 seconds. All frozen or affected towers will take 75% increased damage after that. It has a 3-second duration and then a 2-second cooldown, so you can kind of spam the spell, but just be careful because it is 2 rage every time you use it. And then we have Ring of Torment, which is a red 1 rage spell. You're going to deal 8% HP as damage, you gain 24% health back, and then you become invincible for 3 seconds. Quite nice for a 1 rage spell. If you focus your Claw of Carnix on a red mage, you can definitely use that spell to help avoid damage, get some health back. I think it's a really nice spell, especially for 1 rage. And then we have Bloodlust, pretty common in the game. You have a blue 1 rage spell that gives you 2 rage, so it's 1 rage for 1 rage basically, and then when you destroy the towers, you gain health. It has a 5-second duration and a 2-second cooldown, so all in all, it's a 7-second spell. Keep that in mind because the dragon is quite rage hungry, and the 2 rage kind of freeze and debuff spell is quite costly to use. So we have a shield that protects you and heals you as it deals damage, a way to gain health and rage. We have a Death Gaze type spell for damage, and then we have Chains to escape damage and to increase the damage taken to the towers. We have a lot of pros on this guy. It really was a fun warrior for me to fly, which is quite funny because usually I don't typically like warriors, but as of lately, I have been liking a lot of them. I think they're putting a lot more effort into them, which is really cool. And then we're going to move on and we're going to go into the cons. Like I said, he is extremely rage hungry with a rage gain spell that has a decent cooldown. So when you're using that 1 rage to get the 2 rage, you're getting 1-to-1 basically. And you have to keep in mind that the chain spell is 2 rage. So every time you use that, you're using 2 rage. And it is one of the main ways to escape and deal damage. So you're going to want a lot of rage runes on this guy. And then there's no breath damage modifier to cut through the problem towers quickly. You have to rely on the chain spell. Again, it is a lot of rage for that spell. And then it does struggle with multiple defenders. It is a warrior. It is going to struggle. That's just the nature of warriors. Their breath damage doesn't typically do enough to get down the towers. You really have to rely on dodging and not taking damage most of the time, or just tanking hits with warriors. They have a ton of HP. And a lot of the dragon spells are HP based. So HP runes will be really good on this guy. Any kind of rage runes will be good on this guy. And then if you don't have those, I would buff it up with some attack runes. And I think that's about all you can do with this guy. Overall, if you're able to manage your rage and buff the dragon using runes, rider, and gear, it is a decently fun warrior to fly with potential for mid to low level players to be a decent solo dragon. It will likely struggle near the top end as most warriors do, but it has a solid spell kit that other than the rage hungry aspect due to the Blood Fury Bloodlust cooldown. So it is quite fun to fly, or it was for me. You have to kind of manage your spells with it. The only negative side is something that I also talked about in the Ethera video, where for legendaries, they don't really have a breath damage amplified spell. You have to rely on that debuff, and the sad thing is when they buffed the HP of the towers, they didn't really buff the dragons at the same time, and that's why you're seeing so many dragons come out with 400% breath damage modifiers, because without those, you can't cut through the towers. And sadly, a lot of the legendary dragons that come out don't have things like that built into them, and so they can't really spam down towers as well as a mythic. They can't really do as much damage, which I understand the mythic versus legendary aspect where a mythic should be better. But I also think that overall, anyone should be able to use a legendary dragon and have it useful for defended bases and undefended bases and not have to rely on a mythic. I don't think that it is quote unquote fair that people have to get a mythic to even be somewhat competitive. I just don't see that as great gameplay and a great community factor. So hopefully that'll change and they'll put a little bit more effort into the legendaries. But out of the two that were released, Sekhet is the better one in my opinion. He was able to do better than Aethera when Aethera had better gear and a better rider. So that kind of sucked to see. In Aethera, not in Sekhet. But overall, I would recommend Sekhet to mid to low level players. I think it'll be a really good dragon for you guys. And if you are a higher level player, I would definitely save it for Temple Raid or Guardians. Anything that you just need a dragon in a certain tier for, I would save it for that. But I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day or night, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!